everybody. It's Jen Shaft-Waterman again with From the Bachelor to the Burbs. Thank you for joining us. And I'm here again with Brian Howie. And we got lots to talk about today.
I hope so. Good. We always have lots to talk about.
We always do.
Yeah, I know.
But something I did want to talk about with you. So the first time I ever met Brian was when I did his podcast, The Great Love Debate. And he had a funny story for me. You had a funny story for me about the girl that I was up against. It was between, when I was on The Bachelor, it was Kirsten Buschbacher and me. We were the final two. And we could not have been more opposite.
Right. So I was directing a off-Broadway play in New York. And the third season of The Bachelor had just ended. And the runner-up came to New York, and her manager, agent, someone at ABC said you should put her in the play. And so I met her, and she could not stop talking about how she could not believe that she did not win The Bachelor. And to her credit, she's absolutely beautiful. She is stunning.
She is, yes.
But she couldn't understand. She's like, I did everything I did to win. I cannot believe he chose that girl. I went above and beyond, so to speak. She went into huge detail about, I did this, and still this guy did not pick me. He picked her. So from that moment, I was like, who the hell did he pick? Who is the girl who actually won? And I carried around that curiosity for 17 years.
It's a very long time.
Until I actually met you. And I was like, she could not get over it. No. So it wasn't so much that she did not win The Bachelor, or he did not choose her. It bothered her to no end that he chose you
instead of her. I don't think she could believe that. Plain Jane Jen.
Well, I don't even know about Plain Jane. Like, I don't think
she called me.
Oh, she did.
Jen. So Plain Jane. I'm not saying anything bad about her.
So
I haven't talked to her in years.
It was part that, and she's fine now, and she's married and happy, and delightful.
Good.
It was two parts. It was really, every sentence had two elements to it. Can you believe he didn't choose me? And back then I was like, I can't believe anybody wouldn't choose you either. You're hot and super bitchy. Who wouldn't choose that? And that he chose her.
Me, of all the people.
And so I was always curious about the her. And then I got to sit down with the her, and you seemed delightful. But what my question about it was what she took to win, and I don't know what you did to win, or if he was just like, that's not for me. That's too much for me. I don't know. I don't remember the dynamic between the two of you. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys had any relationship, you and Kirsten.
No, we had no relationship. I mean, we weren't like these enemies that like wouldn't speak to each other, but we weren't so many of the girls on that show were so nice, and everybody really got along so well. And she was just the one that we really didn't get along with. I mean, there's always one during a season, and that was her. I mean, and by no means was she the villain that people are today.
Are you aware that it's down to 4, 3, 2, and who the other people are?
Yes. Oh, yeah. The whole time. Because you meet up with them at the rose ceremonies. So by the time we get to so it's 6 weeks. For me, it was 6 weeks. So the first 3 weeks you're in the Bachelor Mansion, or the Bachelorette Mansion. We were and you're spending your 3 weeks there, and you're pretty much there every day because there's not that many dates that you're on.
Right.
So you could go like 6 days of just being in this Bachelorette pad with all these girls and
are
their
there
friends.
Video games? Is there?
No, we painted a lot of nails, lots of nail paint. Oh, it doesn't look good. Let's take it off. Let's just do it again. There was a pool. I mean, it was
and a bar.
There was always a bar.
So you could have a pool and a margarita.
There
were drinks all the time.
All the time. Anytime you want them. So yeah, easy to get that stuff. So, and by the time though that you go down to the final four, at least for me, then that's when all of you have to stay kind of secluded. You can't go home once you're the final four. So, but then I don't spend so I was in a hotel room and they were all in their own hotel rooms at different hotels. Yeah. So we couldn't interact. But then when it came to the rose ceremony, you're all there together, and then who he chooses or doesn't choose.
Right. But you're trying to I always hate to use the term win, but that is that is life, folks.
You're trying to win the man.
You're trying to win the man. And when you get down to 2, are you evaluating her against you? Are you evaluating her in terms of here's what I think he will like about her or won't like about her? How much sort of personal, like, psychoanalysis is going on?
There's I mean, the whole thing is a huge mind. Can't say the word that I want to say, but you're just, at first it's like, I think he's cute, I want to go on more dates with him, but why does he like her more than me? Like, it's just your ego is so involved, and you just want to be the one he notices because there's nobody else around you, and you're being told that he's like the best of the best, and the only time you even get to leave this house is to go on a date with him. So I never thought I would go and actually be like, I really like this guy. But I know there's some competition with it.
But does he talk about the others? Do you ask about the others? How was your date with Jenny? Like, I
mean, I know a lot of girls do, and the producers will be like, you ask him how it's going. I mean, you want to know. And I'm like, I want to spend my time talking to him. I'm not going to bug him about other girls.
But if it was real life, you would be like, hey, what's the deal with you and Amber P?
Yes. There wasn't Amber on my show. She was the one with
you'd be like, hey, you're saying this to me, but what are you doing with the other one?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like, in my brain, that's what I'm thinking. Right. But I don't want to ask that because I don't want to be that annoying girl yet, because we're on The Bachelor and he has to date all these other girls. So if I'm getting mad at him, then it's like, what did you expect?
I bet you say that to all the other contestants.
I don't think I did. Maybe I said it once and it was like, no, I never put the pressure on.
Are you wondering if this is a line fed to him by a producer? If it was something that he's saying, like, how much of that is going on? Or would you be more aware of it now?
I would be more aware of it now. But he didn't ask me questions about the other. You know how now it's like, he's really into this, like The Bachelor's really into this girl and she's horrible. I got to tell him about, I was never like, I knew Kirsten wasn't who I thought he should be with. But I mean, I just always felt like if he chooses her, then there's no way he would, like, we're so different that, like, if clearly he wasn't interested in a girl like me, if he chooses her and vice versa. And I think, though, I do believe, I don't know.
Well, what does that mean? What is a girl like me if he chooses her? Back then, isn't it just a bunch of 20-something in the bar?
Yes. I mean, but she was just, I felt like, she was gorgeous. And, like, she was my roommate when we first moved in. And then you sit down to do your, what do you call them? The testimonials.
Yeah.
In the moments. And they're like, so she was my roommate. And it's like, so how do you feel about rooming with the prettiest girl in the house?
Oh, so it was
immediately you're like, oh, I mean, every girl is gorgeous. So, but then you're like, was Andrew think that about her? And so she's like, I feel like they're setting her up to be.
Who said she was the pretty, like, right.
So a producer said, did Andrew say that?
Is there a badge that she gets with that?
I guess. No badge. I didn't see but
the play that I had her in had a dozen beautiful
hot
chicks in it. It did. She was she was really kind of exotic pretty. Yes. She was really pretty. I didn't know because I hadn't watched The Bachelor. So I'm like, aren't they all like that? And I assume they all, and you're all very lovely. So I'm just like, but she seemed to know she was the pretty one. Well, which was the strangest thing. Well, she had no doubt.
She was the front runner. I mean, I would say I felt like I knew that he liked her. I could, and she would come back from the dates and be like, we just had the best time, and I'm just really, really confident in where things are going with him and I. And everyone else is just like, is she kidding? You just don't. I didn't feel like I would come home from a date and be like, it was so amazing.
She would flat out say, though, like, I wanted to win, and the competition, like, she didn't feel like she lost a man. She felt like she lost a game. And I sometimes feel like that's the case more with the men with The Bachelorette. I don't think the men are crazy about it. Yeah. But so 17 years I've been like, who was the girl that beat this girl?
This girl. Yeah.
Because it drove her nuts.
I don't know. I mean, clearly.
And here we are.
It was here we are.
Yeah. So I was always carrying that around the back of my head. And I was like, I have questions about this.
Yes. Yeah. So That I always felt was very interesting when I first met you.
But then
I haven't heard about her at all since.
I should text her. I should get her on this show. That would be newsworthy.
It would be newsworthy.
I'm going to set that up. Because she knows I'm doing the show with you. She sees it on Facebook. You have to be thinking, though. So you start with 20 something?
25. Well, for me, 25. I don't know. It's changed over the
and then
years.
you get it down to just say 4.
Yes.
For the Bachelor, or even for you as the Bachelorette, generally you would think somebody likes the same kind of person.
Right.
That doesn't seem to pan out in any of these seasons.
Well, and I mean, there's only... How many people are there to choose from? When you get it down to the final 4, I'm sure they're all
But sometimes they're radically different, which is why America can take sides.
Right.
And America can be like, I want that kind of girl for him. And so it's weird the way we look at our own choices, and we can be like, I like that blonde, nice one, and I like that kind of brunette vixen type.
Yes.
And the same person can be sort of split between both. That's kind of interesting.
I think it's interesting too. And it was, I do feel like when I would watch the show, I'm like, he's totally into Kirsten. Like, why did he even pick me?
Did you?
I still don't. And
but,
I would
but
ask
then you're
him.
in a relationship with him, sort of, or you are. You're in a real relationship,
totally
and you're
real.
dating him. How much do you ask about? Or it
I
never
asked
comes
a
up.
ton, and he
you
was
asked a
like,
ton.
No, not gonna talk about it. The producers told me I didn't have to talk about it, and blah.
I know, but you could be like, but you're my boyfriend, and I have questions.
But now we're dating. We're engaged.
Right?
We're
You're now my
married.
fiance. Can I ask you about
I
her?
I never really got a good.
Oh, that's true. That's
answer.
weird.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, clearly we didn't.
Did you
work
ever
out
really
because
like her? Did he? Because I have you on tape telling her you loved her.
Yes, and then
like I don't know if he did, but
he
I mean,
didn't. But I think he was totally into her. And then we went to the hometown dates, and there was rumors that she had a boyfriend back home,
Tampa,
back in Tampa. And so that was kind of like, what are you doing? This girl's got a boyfriend at home. I don't think his family liked her, and I think they liked me, and I think that was the turning point. But I really think that they didn't like her, and he was embarrassed that they didn't like her, and that's when it turned to me. But then when we were together, I felt like he was very into me. Like I didn't feel like, he felt like he made the wrong choice and he should have chosen her. But I don't know.
But it's interesting what our taste. I get how our tastes can evolve over time, and we have types. If we lined up your, we'll say 5 most prominent boyfriends.
Nothing
like
alike.
40. Nothing alike.
Nothing alike. Very weird.
So there's no pattern.
There's no pattern. So I've always been very picky, but then when I do end up choosing someone, my friends are like, really? Nothing's wrong with that, but I'm just so picky that it's like, well, what did you not find annoying about this one? Because he's so different than anybody else.
Find annoying.
Yes.
That's the thing. I'm looking for somebody who does not annoy me.
Someone who does not annoy me or does have that one quality where you're like, nope, not going to work.
Yeah.
I have that a lot.
But then you must look back, because I've talked to a bunch of Bachelor and Bachelorettes about this. Do you look back and be like, oh my God, I can't even believe I chose him in the show, or I chose her in the show, and looking back, that had nothing to do with it? Or everybody, maybe it's just a blur.
It's just a blur. And I mean, the guy that I chose on The Bachelorette, I mean, he was just the hottest. He was really cute.
Right.
Really
so
cute.
you were more
physical.
shallow than
Yes, I was
Andrew.
100%
Not that you
more
weren't the
shallow.
hottest, but you're the second hottest.
No,
maybe.
second.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I'm just saying. I'm just quoting the producers. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't.
You're like, I'm just going to choose the hot one,
I'm
and
just
you
gonna- well, I don't know.
you
I mean-
chose him right from the start.
I knew right from the start he was the one I was most interested in. I didn't think
Simply because
he's
he was
it.
the hot one.
Well, and he was cute and charming and funny, but it wasn't like deep. Yeah, no, it was nothing deep about it.
Was there another season of The Bachelor where you watched? I know you're happily married now.
Yes.
But if you watched and be like, you know what? Yeah, that would have been a good guy for me.
No, I feel like I watched the show and I'm like, oh my God. I mean,
Like
no,
none of them?
None of them. I don't. I don't know. I mean, it sounds so bad. I did it, but like my husband not being part of the show, or I don't know, any guy that would go on The Bachelorette is probably, I don't know. I just don't see like 25 guys just falling all in love with a girl and just, I mean, they want fame, they want something, they want to have fun, they want to get girls. Like,
well, I know that's what they realize. Even the ones who win,
oh, I mean,
they have 25 girls to choose from on the show.
But then,
and then once the show is over, they have like 25 million girls. To choose
and
from.
I would see it with Andrew because it's true.
Yeah.
True. And I would see it with Andrew, who is also a Firestone and was known before. Right. But I mean, I would be there and people would be like slipping him their number. And he'd be like, do you see? She's right there. And they're like, oh, that's real? Like, what? We're out at a bar. I mean, we're together. Like that. Some people weren't believing that we were together, but they would like, I mean, it was like the women.
Some
shameless.
of the bachelors, and probably Andrew, are sort of lifelong eligible bachelors.
Yes.
Some of them are not, and some of them have never had an opportunity to be this popular with the ladies until the show happens. They don't know how to handle it.
Nope.
They certainly aren't going to be like, well, I'm just going to choose this one.
I'm just going to choose this one for now. It's like I can have anybody
some of them are sort
of
just peaked in their studdom and in their life at just this moment, and they're like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be engaged.
I'm not going to be engaged. I gotta see what else is out there.
Yeah, and there's women all over the world throwing themselves at it. I mean, it's a weird situation.
It's a very weird situation. So any of the relationships that actually work, I think it's awesome because the odds are not.
So if I got, well, the odds of any relationship working are not great either, because anybody who's listening to the show, you've gone out with 25 people.
Yes.
And how many of them did you make it to engagement?
I would say, like, did it take?
Yeah.
It didn't take.
If I got Kirsten on here, would you reminisce? Would you chit chat? Would you think like it would be interesting?
It would be interesting.
I hate to be teasing everybody. I'm going to make this happen. And like, what do you remember of it? And what did you think about me?
I mean, we would just talk about. Yeah. And what was your life after?
You're both just happily married moms now.
Normal.
Not just, but
normal women.
Normal women.
40
yeah.
Or, in our 40s.
Yeah.
She's probably a little younger than me, but
yeah, but
I'm sure we have a lot more.
That would be good. I'm going to make that happen. Bachelor the Burbs.
Bachelor
listeners.
Nation.
That's coming. That'll make news. Yeah. Cool.
So there you go.
Yeah. What else do people ask?
So
you?
I get a ton of questions all the time about why I never have done anything with the franchise since I was on the show. And I will have to say they never asked. So
they never asked you, or they never asked
me.
Anybody?
No. So it's like, why didn't I go to any of Trista's wedding was, I don't think there were that. I mean, she was the first, but there's been subsequent weddings over the years and lots of Bachelor and Bachelorette, Alum, that's the word. Alum show up.
They do?
They do. Because the show makes it happen. I mean, I don't believe that.
Oh, they don't know each other? But a lot do.
But if it's being filmed, that's what they're talking about.
And that somehow has appeal if they put other Bachelor?
Yeah. All the other, watching the marriage happen and all that. So yeah, so number one, so after I did the Bachelorette, sorry, and I didn't choose anyone, they were like, nope.
Persona non grata.
You're done.
Yeah.
We don't want you to do anything. We don't want you, so if anything happened, like if I were to get hey, come do this appearance and you can make X amount of money, it was like, no, we don't really think that you would be representing the brand that well. So it was like I could not do it. So it was like I had to get a real job. I had to start doing something because and even little things that I would do, I had people that would be like, "Oh, we can get you, this sort of sponsor. You could work with this company or this product." It was like, "Well, I don't know what we can do with you now that you didn't pick anybody." It was like my appeal to everybody because I didn't pick anyone was done. It was done.
To be fair to you, you didn't know the gravy train that could be gotten out of letting this thing drag out for a while. There was no way to know. You were 2 years too early.
Yeah, it was 2 years too early to not just let it drag out, and
there was no
pretend.
I don't think there was
together.
Instagram then.
No,
so you couldn't just put up an ad for. This is what I'm washing my face with, and give me 20 grand.
No, exactly.
Which is what they do now.
And there were little things that come along like that, but not as much, and it's not as easy.
Yeah.
And the Bachelorette said no to all of that. Even I was writing a book, which we'll talk about my book, Better Single Than Sorry soon. But it was they found out that I was writing a book, and they were like, "You've got to stop." And so I had to. So by the time, I had a deadline for when my manuscript for my book had to be turned in, and it was I had 2 months to work on it because
they're very protective of the brand. When I had Kirsten in my play, I get the call from the big boss, Mike Fleiss.
Yes.
And he's like, you cannot make reference to her. You cannot call her the Bachelor anything or the Bachelor anything. And I'm like, can I say the loser of it? And he's like, sure, you can say that run that by her, and I ran that by her, and they're like, I am not being billed as
The
a loser. Yeah.
So what did you say? How did you use her?
You couldn't say star of. You had to say from ABC's The Bachelor,
Okay.
and it always had to be ABC's The Bachelor.
Yes, and it seems like now before they just didn't want. I don't know if they didn't want to dilute the brand or whatever, but now it seems like they're just much more willing to let their stars.
It has
things,
because
because
now
it
they
helps.
realize the bigger that they grow the brand, and it's a little bit hard to. They want their personalities in the limelight as much as possible. So there was always like for a year they couldn't do anything at all related to dating.
Correct.
Okay. But then, as people probably know, I host something called the Great Love Debate. They send us their people. Like, they're very enthusiastic because it's like, oh, we're part of the Love brand.
Right. And we want to, but that was the thing. Like, one time I was asked to do something for Match.com, and it was like, no, we want you to be finding love. We're not having you out there to promote dating. And I thought that was really weird, because why wouldn't you just want the show is about dating and meeting your right match.
Yeah, I know.
But they didn't like that.
I couldn't imagine they consider online dating to be competition.
Right. But that was back in the day, and that was just any excuse to
and
tell
it was
me no.
weird, and that show wasn't as established as it is now.
Correct.
It could have been because you almost killed it.
I
they were on the brink.
almost kill
They were
it.
on the brink of cancellation for a
all
couple
because
years.
of Jen from Munner.
But then there was some backlash. There was like a famous article in the New York Post how she wrote like, this is so misogynist and men are exploiting women by the show. And I'm like, but women like this show.
But women like this
This is
show.
a women's audience predominantly, and I never understood that. But there was like around that time, there was about a year and a half where it was like, should this show exist?
Exactly.
So
it's misogynistic.
Yeah. And it was
but everybody that signs up are willing participants, and nobody tells them to act crazy. The girls, they just do.
Come in crazy. Add some alcohol.
And now I think it's like the show's been on so long that they're like, I want to be the villain. I want to be.
There's characters.
Like
they show up in costumes and they do that, and it's it's a double challenge for the casting people, because they have to hit that thread that needle of interesting but not going to shut the show down because they're so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But also because all of this sort of Bachelor in Paradise and all these other things, that they all kind of know each other. All of the
all
contestants. So you're talking about hundreds of people by now. Back then it was, you're talking a couple dozen. Now there are hundreds
and hundreds.
Hundreds who are alums of this, and they're all like that. And all the reality shows, like, Survivor has its own little ecosystem of personalities and people.
Yep.
Everybody knows each other. So, that's why like people are like sort of cross-season dating on The Bachelor. And it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, doesn't Deanna married Stagliano, like his twin brother, it was very incestual.
Did you get calls from exes or people you went to high school with after?
Yes, a lot. I mean, people just came out of the woodwork. Not so much. I mean, maybe one ex-boyfriend like called me up and was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing this. It's funny. Nothing bad, but yeah, I mean, people came out of the woodwork. But then when I was on The Bachelor the first time, like there would be reporters like going to my high school. So like my high school secretary would be like, they're asking her about me, what I was like in high school. I mean, I feel like everybody in my life from just got bombarded. Or friends like, hey, do you have pictures of her when she was in high school? They would go to my parents' house and, sorry, Mom, I love you, but she would let them in and give them lemonade and do things like reporters from Us Weekly or In Touch magazine. And so but then through all that stuff.
Sorry, I got you off track. Yeah. So people ask you why you didn't do any of this stuff.
Yes.
What have you turned down that you got invited to? Anything?
One thing.
Oh, one thing.
So there was, it was 2 Marches ago. So not this past, a couple of years ago, there was a Bachelorette reunion show where they got all the Bachelorettes together and just sort of did little package with everybody. And they called me to ask me to do it. And I couldn't do it because I was going on vacation with my family. And I was also, which I will talk about at another time, but I've just recovered from an autoimmune disease. So at the time I was on prednisone and I was like 20 pounds heavy. I'm like, there's no way. I'm not going to try to figure out how I can get on TV and stand next to all these like adorable past bachelorettes. And I'm I'm disgusting. I can't.
Oh.
I can't do it.
Yeah, that matters.
It does matter. And that'd be the first time anybody would see me now.
But you're opening it up to them doing the math. Like, who's not here?
Who's right. And what's wrong? What's the scandal?
Right.
But then what happened? They did say, well, we would love to come to your house and I know you can't make it, but we'll come to your house and do like a little, get some footage of you guys so we could air it on the show. And then when I told them that I couldn't do the show, I never heard back. And then the show airs and there was like, it was like no mention.
Oh, no mention.
No mention. Like
you
not
weren't,
like
in the in memoriam?
No, nothing. Nothing. It was like I vanished. So I don't know.
Wow.
And nobody that works on the show anymore is probably the same. They're probably not any of the same people when I was around. So, there's no connection with.
Now, do you have the ability to let Reality Steve or somebody know why and have them leak it out into the interwebs?
Was like I did write on Twitter, like, sorry I couldn't be there, and then Reality Steve did contact me, and I did his podcast. So
you did, yeah.
So if anybody listens to,
you're in PR business for a while. You have to control the narrative,
right? I'm like, I gotta say something. I don't know.
I would have loved to do it. It was a long plan.
It was just and it really was a long planned vacation.
Yeah,
family, spring break, and I was going to be in Florida and I needed to be in LA. So
it's sort of like when somebody doesn't show up at the Oscars or like they couldn't be here tonight and everybody, why is there just a picture? Are they mad? Are they sick? Are they shooting? What's going on? Yeah. It opens up a lot of questions.
My mom's getting why wasn't Jen on the show? She's getting her friends. I have friends texting me why weren't you on? So I felt like I kind of did. It was like, I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to not do it, but it just didn't work out.
If there was no prednisone when you
If there was no prednisone, I probably would have.
You probably. So it was really superficial.
Well, I was on vacation.
Not unreasonable superficial. Yeah, it does make you.
And I haven't been on, it was just like, I haven't done this in so long. This is not the moment that I'm going to try. But I didn't want to miss out on that, but I did.
So if they called you tomorrow, you're in?
Yes.
Okay.
But they're not going to call me tomorrow. In for a reunion show or for something.
Are we up to 20? How many bachelorettes are we up to?
I don't know. Not 20 yet. I don't think we're quite at 20.
But we like those big round numbers. So when it hits 10, 20, 15, they're going to round you up.
25 seasons of all the shows. Like it was 25 seasons of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. They were going to get everybody together for something like that too. And then it just sort of fell through. So there were things that I would have been on that just didn't ever happen either.
And they know most of you have a chit chat going on now, a little group.
Yes, all of the bachelorettes are connected via.
So that makes it a little easier,
right?
So has somebody said they're having something coming up? Is there a wedding coming up?
Right. No, maybe now that I'm involved in the bachelorette, chat.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get invited to something.
Well, there you go.
It's okay if I don't, though. It's all right. My life is fine without it.
But there was only one other who didn't show up, right?
Yes, Meredith. Yes,
and she really had an issue there.
She did. I don't know the whole story. And she was on our chain, our text chain, but then kind of never really responded. So I think we kind of got the hint that she doesn't want to be part of it. But we don't know why. I don't know why. And that's her business, and hope she's doing well.
I know a couple of bachelorette people who went out right away. Didn't get to. How many they cut? What's the first cut?
Right. The first night they didn't get a single rose. So
right.
Yeah, that was everyone. I mean, that's your biggest nightmare.
Right, but that's is it 15 move along? Or is it cut from 25 to what?
It went from 25 to 15 So 10 the first night. 10,
right.
All I wanted was
it's sort of like making it through the first round of cheerleading tryouts or something. You want to get to the first night.
And it's completely superficial at this point. I mean,
right.
you didn't get to know anybody. For
right, and there's no storyline, and you're just I was on season 12.
And you're I'm so glad I brought
because I know, and then I've been oh yeah, my friend so and so was on your, and I'll talk to the winner, I'll talk to I don't know, Ben Higgins or something. I'm my friend was on, and he's I have no idea.
I don't know who you're talking
no
about.
idea.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Dancing with the Stars where they bring them all back.
No. When you're gone, you're gone. And if you're gone on the first night, I mean,
you're just out of the house.
Home. You're going home. Yeah.
You're just
your bags are packed. So every night of the rose ceremony, your bags are packed, ready to go.
Oh.
In your room, labeled. And so if you're gone, they just wheel that bag out and it's ready for you. And you're like
out.
On your plane. You're gone. You're not paying for any more lodging. You're done.
Exactly. There's no more per diem. You're out.
Yeah, you're out.
Wow.
So it's pretty harsh. Know. So that was always like, oh my God.
Yeah, because I've asked it a few times.
Let me last the first night.
It's like, I have no idea who it is. Almost like a drunken night. I'm like, no, well, you met her. And he's like,
I think I mean, that's gone up to 30. I don't even know.
And if you met him for 30 seconds.
30 seconds in like the
because you're under no obligation to memorize the bios or you just be like, no, and you wouldn't care.
No, the first time you see them, maybe you've seen a picture, is when they hop out of the limo.
Because it'd be like weird. It's like, hey, I was on your season of The Bachelor. You didn't pick me, remember? Like that'll be a weird encounter.
That would be so weird. Like,
how many? So you had 25 dudes?
I had 25 guys.
How many, if you just had to make a list, can you remember? Like if you just had to write down names. Like
I could remember 10. I bet 10.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fair. Yeah. Because the first night it goes down to 10. I mean, 10 go away, so there's only 15. So if I can, 10 of them?
So you could remember so you can't remember the 15?
I mean, I think I do. It was a long time ago, Brian. If it was like, it was 15 years ago. Yeah, that's true. 16 years ago. So
yeah, I'm not sure I could name my actual girlfriend from 17 years ago, like the name of the time.
What was her name?
Yeah, I know that would be true. So that's fair. That makes sense,
right? So maybe if you would have asked me like in a year
So do people come to me like, oh, I can't believe you didn't choose somebody like you? I'm like, I don't even know who that was.
I don't remember who you're talking about. Well, so nobody does that anymore. But when I did not come off of The Bachelorette with anyone, it was like, well, and this is what I noticed too when I was on The Bachelor. People were rooting for me. They were rooting for me. They were rooting for Andrew to choose me.
Right.
So when I'm the Bachelorette, people are rooting for the guys. They have the guys.
Right.
And then if you don't choose them, it's like, why didn't you choose Ryan? Like, what's wrong with you? He was perfect. Like, so all these women are mad at me because I didn't choose their guy, the guy that they wanted. So it was a different experience too. Like I didn't have a lot of fans.
Did you, and were there groups where, like they combine your names? Like you're like Benifer? Was there like a Jandrew?
A Jandrew?
Was that?
Not yet. No, because Benifer hadn't been together. But like Jerry, no. We didn't.
Because they do that.
Right. They do
that
that
on soaps too.
I love
where
that.
They combine
I wanted
the thing.
like
there
Benifer.
Must have been secret group. It was a little, now there'd be like devoted to the love. Like there's the people who really desperately want to see it work out because they fall in love with the couple.
The couple, yes. And usually if I'd ended up in a couple, people would have fallen in love with us as a couple too.
Yeah.
But when I just didn't end up with anybody, nobody knew what to make of that. I mean, a lot of people were like, yo, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like Star Magazine, I was the spinster of the week. Spinster of the week.
I would like to have that on a plaque.
I'd
want to have that on a T-shirt.
Spinster of the
week.
I
would put that on my LinkedIn. I would put that everywhere. Yeah, put on a business card. Yeah,
Spinster of the week.
That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. That was my favorite, I think. Also, and I got a lot of. I was a gold digger because of Andrew Firestone. Everyone called me a gold digger. I'm like,
that's not your fault.
I'm like, it's not my fault that he's the one that anybody that they chose. Or anybody he chose would be called a gold digger because he was wealthy. But
that's true. That's not your fault.
So it's not my fault.
Yeah.
So I'm not a gold digger. So all these little things that they said about me that are just so funny when you look back.
But you would go to a bachelor wedding schedule and medication permitting?
Well, at this point, though, I've never met half of these girls, so they might not want me there. But I would go, I think, if I was invited. I don't even know if I would go if I was invited, but I haven't been invited.
Do you go to high school and college reunions?
No.
Never?
Never. Well, my high school
I would strut in there now. Oh, my God.
Well, then I'm like, oh, God.
Because they all know.
Would be a little bit like, oh, my, I can't. That would be too nerve-wracking, I think. I like to just see people like in normal settings. But my high school was so big, I graduated with like 1,000 kids. So maybe like 30 people show up to the reunion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I wish it was, better and I had better stories about that. But yeah, no.
Is there a sign in your town that's like hometown of Jen Shaft? as there are in certain things.
You know, when you go into Mentor, Ohio, it's like home of Jen Shaft Waterman.
Yeah.
No, they haven't done that for me yet.
But there's people there who are sophomore at Mentor High School. Was that the high school?
That was Mentor High School, yep.
And they're like, one of the Bachelor people went here.
She's really old, though.
Right, but they do talk about it.
They must. Well, what was funny is, so in my high school, like, they would put a mural on the ceiling and change it every couple of years.
Yeah.
And I was part of the mural one year next to George Bush. Like, because he was president. So he was the president
and you were
of the United States at the time, and I was the Bachelorette.
That should also be on the LinkedIn. I would always have that. Like those are the two most significant people at that time.
At that time.
Oh wow! Do you have a photo of that?
My mom does somewhere, I'm sure.
Oh my god!
I mean, it's so old. I've got to find it. I'll find it.
That I would love that.
It's pretty cool.
Oh man, crazy.
So that was fun.
Yeah. So, but you are aware that down the road, because they want to squeeze every last drop out of this and all you people, you will once again at some point in the next year or 2 or 3. Be in a dress in Los Angeles.
Maybe.
Taping.
It's been 17, 18 years. Still hasn't happened, so I'm waiting. If it does happen.
I just read something in the gossip column about Trista the other day. Like, it still comes up.
Yeah, well, she's still out there more. That's what I need to do more is, like, build up my Instagram page.
Who was the
Chef
second
Waterman,
one?
Meredith.
Oh.
And she picked Ian, who was a babe. He was very cute, too.
Yeah, but they're all sort of...
Yeah, I mean,
like
Trista. Well, but
players.
Trista,
they're like LeBron, like they remember by the names. Trista,
just Trista.
Yeah,
Meredith. But Trista got married. I mean, the first Bachelorette who got married, and they're still successful. So of course, she's been carrying the torch.
But because there's so many that are known, so let's say there's 15 Bachelorettes. Mm-hmm. You can Google this.
You can Google. It's more.
Say there's 18. 12 of them are something. So they're not going to use most and not use all. Right. So they will use all
eventually.
Of you at some point.
Eventually, so yes. So I'll get ready.
I'm
ready.
You just need
to start working out now.
Right. It's going to happen.
So,
I know. It would be weird hearing the same questions all the time. Because I'm always curious because I ask you questions all the time. And I'm like, how many times has you been asked that question? And the best thing is every once in a while, you'll ask somebody a question and be like, oh my God, I never got asked that before. And you feel like you hit a home run.
Like a home run, yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah.
Well, and one time you were like, oh, you just kind of remember things, and it's good how you remember how things happen. And I'm like, I've been talking about it to people for 20 years. So
Have you, or do you go long stretches where nobody brings it up?
I mean, I do go long stretches where nobody brings it up.
Did anybody bring it up before? As we tape this, it's like 2:30 Eastern time. Has it come up before today? Me? Did the words Bachelor or Bachelorette?
Yes.
Oh, it did.
It did. Yes. Well, because now all of a sudden I'm like getting all these new followers on Facebook.
So almost every day.
So every day. I mean, yes, it doesn't. It's like it's part of my life. It's just once I did it, there's no turning back. So it's always, I can't escape it no matter what. So you gotta just appreciate it. And it's fun. It was an amazing experience, an awesome journey, amazing journey. Sorry, as they would say. But no, it was great. It was fun. I'm glad I did it. And I'm glad to be sitting here doing a podcast now because otherwise, why would you want to talk to me?
Well,
I mean, everybody needs a podcast, right?
Everybody needs a podcast.
Everybody needs a podcast.
But there's things to talk about.
Yeah.
There's mommy stuff.
Yeah.
Do the kids understand? I think I've asked you this before. Yeah. When are you going to be back on TV? Do they wonder?
They don't ask that a lot, but it's just like, well, can I be on TV? Am I going to be famous? Do I get to be famous?
Well, because
Mommy?
there's something like Tiger Woods last year won the Masters after a long time of not winning anything, and he said the most important thing about it was his young kids did not know Tiger Woods as a good golfer.
Oh my God,
they'd
that's
only
crazy.
heard about it as a good golfer.
Yeah.
So your kids have only heard about you as a TV personality. So to see you on the television,
to see me on the television,
that's just a different thing in their head,
Yeah, that would blow their mind a little bit if they could see me now. Because if it's like I show them a picture, it's like that doesn't.
Yeah, that's
they see
old.
pictures of themselves all the time and me, and
it's not the
same. It's the TV.
Or if they showed you, even if you showed something from back in the day, but if they saw you like this is our mom now, that's a different thing,
and they would love it.
Yeah,
I mean they're so into it all, and they're very cute about it. Right. Except I just don't want them to be famous yet.
Yeah. Doesn't every
Older.
kid want to be a YouTube star?
Every kid wants to be a YouTube star.
And what do they interpret that to mean?
That people watch them.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they want people to watch them doing things. But it also looks like it's fun.
It looks like fun, and it's center of attention stuff.
Right. Or just like they're getting, I mean, you probably haven't watched a lot of like young girl geared YouTube channels.
Thankfully, no, I've not. But the day's
Hopefully
not
you
over.
haven't.
It's only 2:30.
But these kids are just getting toys and they're opening up these toys and showing you how to play with them. And they get slime and they get dolls. And I mean, just to watch other kids open these toys, they're like, I want to be opening these toys. I want these toys to be mine.
What has replaced Toys R Us? And like Toys R Us is gone. Where if somebody
Amazon.
wants to,
I mean, you go to Target. I go to
do
Target.
they understand Amazon?
Yes, just order it, Mommy. It'll show up tomorrow. It's free. Just order it. It'll be in our house tomorrow. Or
Yeah, so it's not like,
free.
oh, we went to the store and they were sold out. They're like, you can find it now.
You can get it. Can you just look online?
That
Can
makes
you just
the
get
holidays
it for me tomorrow?
a challenge, right? Like, how do you? There's an endless supply of, and they're not Santa Claus age.
Well, my oldest is. They still. I mean, there's still excitement over Santa. My oldest doesn't believe, but my little one is still in it. So it's like you get all these packages. They're coming. I'm expecting, hoverboards today, and I'm like, they better get here before they get home from school so I can hide them. But I don't even know where I'm going to hide them this year because, there's no hiding place that they
know.
They just get it. They're going to look through everything. So yeah. So things are slowly, packages come in slowly. But
When you were 8, did you want to be a singer, dancer?
oh my God, yes, absolutely.
Who did you want to be? We've talked about your crushes on the
Right.
podcast, but who did you like? I want to be that
Janet
person.
Jackson for sure. Just dance.
Well, that
and
seemed
sing.
like a long shot.
Well, of
Well,
course.
you weren't a Jackson. Like,
Wasn't it? No, but that's who I like. That's who I wanted to be like. But I was
Like-
Solid Gold dancers. Do you remember that?
I remember the
show?
MTV dancers. Did you want to be like
Yeah, I
Club
remember
MTV?
that. Yeah.
Wubba wubba wubba.
Wubba wubba wubba. Julie Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have been one of them.
I could have been one of them, or like, and then I was old, but I still want to be Britney Spears in her prime. Who wouldn't want to be Britney Spears in her prime?
Yeah,
Come
that's
on.
true. Did you want to be who's not
I'm trying
Britney,
to-
like Tiffany, or she's too
Tiffany, Debbie Gibson. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Both of them. Whitney Houston was.
You want to be Whitney? That's ambitious, child.
Well, I
you are.
didn't want to be them like I thought I would be them. It was just that's who I.
But was there somebody like that where you had
Like,
a little
oh,
cattiness? Like, I could do that
No.
if they would just come to my town and see me.
I did feel like if I could be discovered, like if somebody would discover me,
Did you have
that
an-
would be it. I would make it.
Did you play an instrument?
But poorly. I played the flute for like a year, but no.
You were
No,
an
I'm not
aspiring
instrumental.
Flautist. Yes.
Yes.
Did you dance?
I danced. I was dance, gymnastics, and cheerleading. But gymnastics, I wasn't that great at. I'm not very strong. But yeah, I wanted to be a performer of some kind. But at some point, you just get real and I'm just going to go to school. I'm going to go to college. And I'm going to get a
But
job,
you went to
a normal
Chicago,
job.
and Chicago has a fair amount of like, I want to be a star. A lot people. They have a lot of
true.
live theater. They have a lot of comedy scene. They have a lot of commercial actors. Like there's a pool there that you definitely had access
I
to.
did. But it wasn't, I'm not an actress. Never was.
We're all actresses.
We all are. You too. We're all acting all the
Scratch an
time.
actor, find an actress is the old line. Yeah. But so you never
I
went out, you never
never-
did an improv class?
No, and I did take a drama class in high school, and it was very intimidating to me. I just am not that free. I'm not that like. It'd be like pretend to do this, and you're a flower. I'm like, no, I can't. I
Good.
can't.
I always thought that was a good first date activity, just go to an improv class. Because if you can let it go there and like you're going to have to be a mime here and you're going to have to be
That would
an
have
oak
been
tree.
like my most embarrassing worst
Right,
nightmare.
but if you could get through that, because life is improv. So if you could do that in front of each other with no shame, I think that's probably
Okay,
a risky but high reward first date.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'll keep
it's-
it in my back pocket if I ever go on a date again.
well, they
but-
should have that on The Bachelor. I don't know if they have
I don't
had
know
that.
if they've had that, but they do have some acting things sometimes. But
They do,
yeah.
but a lot of that has been scripted. But like you're just going to go improv class and you're going to have to do that. Are you listening,
Are
Bachelor
you listening,
Nation?
Bachelor people? That's a great idea.
Yeah. So, all right. Good.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. I want you, if you need to get in touch with me and you want to ask any questions, it's bachelorburbs@gmail.com. And remember to subscribe to this podcast, tell your friends about it, and come back next week.
And before you cut off here, you did tease a lot of upcoming stuff, as did I.
Yes.
One of the things that I do want on here, and I think the listeners want on here, is the actual winner of the Bachelorette.
Okay. Well, you're putting it out into the universe.
I'm putting out in the words that husband Joe will be on the show soon.
We're going to get him on soon, but he gets a little nervous about these things. And then
Good.
I get nervous too.
Good. That's
we
life
get
in the big
anxious.
leagues, Joe.
Okay. All right. I'll see what I can do.